surrender is a big keyword, man. It's major for me, as I came into this realization of observation, of course, and realized that, surrender is just major. So for you to have to really, have a job, you got to surrender to the rules and the process, right? And so I think we struggle with surrendering inside of relationships, and, that's just, that is layers to that, right? And so let's look from the male perspective, right? I think from the male's perspective, the term surrendering is synonymous with being submissive, and which is both is definitely synonymous with being girly, being a woman, being feminine. Now, I'll challenge you in a sense because you have to understand that nothing is truly masculine and nothing is truly feminine. I'll give you a fact of biology real fast just to prove my point. And so in embryogenesis, the study of the embryo, around week 4, you develop something called Wolffian ducts. And at week 10, if these Wolffian ducts develop, they will become testicles and you will be what's called male. All right, so around week 5, something called the Mullerian duct develops. And if this develops around week 10, that will be forming the fallopian tubes and the female reproduction system. And then you will be what's called female, okay? And so, as a male, there's something inside of you, that dormant female duct is inside of you, known as in old literature, it was called the vagina masculina. Very interesting. It's like a masculine vagina that's inside you. That's the dormant gland from your mother. Duh, it makes sense. You come from your mother and your father. And so for women, inside of you, it's known as the Skene's gland, okay? It's a fact, okay? And so you have your mother and your father inside of you as the opposite gender, as a dormant duct, D-U-C-T, a dormant duct that's there, okay? So you're never really completely 100% masculine or feminine, okay? Now, surrender is really about identifying what works. What is your flow? What is it? And surrendering / committing. Because where there's no surrendering, there's no commitment, right? How can you be committed to something if you haven't surrendered and gave yourself to the commitment, right? And so when you surrender, you're going to commit to what it is that you say you desire. So, I was asking a beautiful question today in the sense of, have what I've been through in experience of relationships. I see you, little caterpillar. How you get up there? Have what I've been through in the series of relationships, far as the don'ts, has that been the catalyst to get me to where I see what the solution is? And I'm like, oh yeah, majority of that, for sure. You ask a person what they want, they'll tell you what they don't want. So if you're really paying attention, if you understand what you don't want, you know what you do want, right? So you can say, hey man, I don't want to live in a place that's cloudy and rainy. Oh, okay, you're really saying you want to live somewhere that is dry and sunny, right? So yeah, if you understand the things that you don't want, you can make a list of all the things you don't want, that's fine. Only thing you have to do is polarize it and go to the opposite, because that's going to tell you what you do want. So since you know you don't want to be in a state of unhappiness, a state of depression, a state of anxiety, a state of loneliness, a state of, insecurity, a state of having fears about, water and snakes, because a snake just damn touched me. You're going to see me keep looking around, making sure that it don't touch me again, but it's not going to have me in a state where, oh, I got to go. I can't even do this video here. Nah, something going to have to give, right? And so, but anyway, we don't want to live in these desired states, right? When do we put ourselves in the situation, create the situation, right, for us to surrender to that process of the ideal goal? Okay? Now, again, it's kind of hard for men to surrender to the fact of what? Well, in most cases, what I've been seeing, I just give one example. There's an example of, really lacking romanticism. You know what I mean? Softness. You know, to me, this is a yin activity to come out into nature, or to, you know, go on a picnic in your own backyard. You know what I mean? Be creative. Put a picnic in the backyard, you know, blanket on the yard, you know, front yard, whatever, and say, here, babe, let's have a moment. Let's just bond, right? Let's do some breathing exercises or whatever it may be. Just relate to one another, right? And so, you know, we lack that ability. Some of us lack that ability to get in tune with that. Now, we can identify it because our partners then told us, yo, you suck. You know, this is a moment where, you know, I expressed something to you and I really needed you to be soft and receiving, right? I get this, right? I've got it. And you missed it, right? And so this thing is alchemy of understanding, you know, the temperament what the person, you know, the other party's mood is in, and what energy they require. So oftentimes as men, we're a little cut off from that inner feminine, which simply means the ability to, I ain't even want to say hear, the ability to feel. The ability to feel. Okay? And so is for some reason, you know, and I get it, it's our natural masculine nature where that seems so foreign to us. So we have to start putting ourselves in situations through practice, what I'm gonna talk about in a few, of setting that situation up to get us to balance ourselves out, right? Into that so strange foreign polarity that's needed. Now, for women, in a sense, here's an example where, you know, you may have great reason not to trust men. Great reason, right? And so, you know, can you allow yourself to practice? Men and women, can you allow yourself to practice? What do I mean by that? I mean that can we identify someone who we feel like would be a great practice partner? Right? It's to, hey, I want to practice on you. What you mean practice on me? I want to practice for my boo thing. Will my real boo show up? Will my divine partner, my husband, my wife, my life partner, whatever the case may be, whatever we want to call them, I want to be in tip-top shape. I don't want to bring my garbage, my unresolved issues into my ideal relationship, because who's to say that that person is not going to see that as a severe turnoff, or who's to say that that trigger won't be a catalyst that destroys your relationship, right? See, for some reason, I don't know why we think that we, you know, in our 40s and 30s and 50s and whatever, and we're not in our ideal relationship, and then all of a sudden we just gonna manifest the person, and that's just gonna be it, and we never truly even had the practice to work through our shit. I don't get it, right? We just think all of a sudden, like, you didn't spend half your life wrong, even though their experiences for the right to get us to understand, granted, but it don't check the box of forever partner. So we got something drastically twisted. And so, as with anything, it takes repetition. As with anything, it takes practice, right? Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to build your dream team, meaning the dream team is your ideal dream life, and who is who within it. Who's your banker? Who's your accountant? Who's your partner? Who's your children? Who's, if you're going to have these things, who's your best friends? Who's the person that you can put as a trustee when you start getting into assets and building the trust? Because as a trust, you can't be it. You understand what I'm saying? And so, like, this stuff is really real. You know what I mean? And this is why I love that concept. When I taught this years ago in the Family Wealth Club, successful, very wealthy families, usually with a net worth of at least 100 million plus, they have something called a family office. and which is basically a 360-degree holistic viewpoint of their money and lifestyle, man. This is very serious stuff, seriously, right? And so, ladies, can you identify someone who could be, a great practice partner for you, right? So if you have issues with, again, trust, right? Then why can't can you be sensitive enough to be able to receive the fact that, hey, this woman needs my help, right? I'm here as a practice person for her. Now that puts you on the receiving end, which we ain't really used to, right? So now you got to be, again, ready to surrender to that, right? And so can you put yourself in that position where we may say, this is just how my mom works, right? That, hey, come here, let me hug you. Let me put rose quartz on your heart. Let me kiss your heart, right? Let me put my hand on your heart with the intentions of telling you that you can trust, right? Got a great friend, beautiful soul, may have issues, had issues with water, right? So say you got an issue with, swimming, right? So why can't you have a partner that says, hey, we're going to start off in 3 feet. I want you to lay on your back. Obviously, you can stand up at any time. But as you lay on your back, my arms is the one that got you. So in other words, you start associating overcoming your fear in associating trust with the masculine energy. Because you may have a situation that deals with, distrust in masculine energy as it pertains to water, right? And so, or even if it ain't a bad situation from directly water, but you do have a fear of something, allow your partner who don't have a fear of it to say, hey, let's start going to the edge here a little bit, okay? And trust this process so you can let that go, okay? Like, yo, we got to do better. We got to do something, right? And I'm going to tell you something. This is what the studies show. Visualization is great. Visualization with practice, because now you know what you're visualizing, but when you practice, every single time visualization with practice will outdo visualization by itself. Visualization by itself will outdo people who don't visualize, okay? So it's a process. Non-visual, visual and work, okay? And so you have to marry this, which is really common sense, because it's like, hey, it's spirit and matter, idea and action, okay? This is symbolized in one of the Western mystical schools called Freemasonry by 2 pillars. Jachin, the celestial spiritual pillar, and Boaz, the physical pillar, okay? We have to learn how to marry these two, because sometimes we think we're going to just be purely here, and you can be purely here and get things. Again, you get results. But if we really, truly trying to really be great, I'm of the philosophy of you have to cultivate the action to marry the intention, because the results show this process is much better when you marry the two, okay? And so let's start really thinking about what surrendering looks like for us. Only thing we got to do is simple. Identify what is the desired end result, and then make a commitment to that, right? So again, whatever that issue is, what is the solution to that issue? And then make a commitment to do it. It ain't no backtracking. It ain't no rescheduling unless it's an absolute emergency. Ain't none of that. Ain't no, I ain't doing it. I ain't feeling it. Okay. All right. Okay. Things will be the same. Things will be the same. You can go back and just look at your life. Same shit. Ain't nothing changed. Nothing changed. Okay? And so really think about that. And I would love to see you surrender. Surrender is a great thing. Surrendering allows you to receive. That's what Kabbalah means. Kabul, receive. Allows you to receive. What are you receiving? You're receiving the infinite abundance. Some say from God, some say from the universe, but you're receiving the infinite abundance to help us go along our journey. Okay? That is the way. Put yourself in the point of receiving. Okay? All right, man. Talk to you later. Peace.